Good evening, KC Race Talk fans. Man, it is great to be back in the studio tonight. I'm excited about this one because if you've been watching the shows, you know I'm a late model guy. So I'm excited about what's happening in Kansas City this weekend with the late models coming to town. So want to thank you all for and want to thank Dalton Hevlo for the interview last night. You guys have been great about sharing and following that. Again, like the page, share the page, follow the page, and then we're going to start transitioning here in the next couple of weeks to the YouTube channel and then also to Spotify and Apple. So be ready for that. That's because that's going to start happening. But hey, let's get rid of the small talk here and let's get down to some late model talk here. So tonight's guest is the co-owner and operations director for the the Heartland Late Model Series. He's also part of the modified series, so wears a lot of hats. But man, can't thank him enough for getting him. Want to introduce Eric Chesterman. Eric, man, thank you so much, man, for joining me. I know we talked couple 3 or 4 weeks ago, knowing that this was coming to town, and I know Trent Berry does most of your guys' promotional stuff, but he's been just slammed. So I appreciate you filling in tonight, man.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me, man. And enjoy getting to talk racing anytime I can. Yeah, Trenton's usually the guy that is kind of front and center for our organization, but he's been going about a million mile an hour. And just in the last couple of days, we've had a lot of things in the works, a lot of things that have happened, some things that we're actively working on, and I can't announce yet. So I'll throw a little teaser out there in that regard. But yeah, just a lot of things happening right now. This is actually our first weekend where we're gonna have 2 different series that we operate in action on the same night. We have our Northern Lights Modified Series. We're going on a 3-night swing in Fergus Falls, starting in Fergus Falls, Minnesota. We'll be at I-94. Then we go to Viking Speedway Night 2 in Granite City on Sunday for a 3-night swing up there. And of course, our late model deal, which is I know you're the main point of what you want to talk about tonight, at Green Valley Speedway on Saturday or Friday rather, and then we go to Moberly, Missouri on Saturday. So
Well, yeah, I mean, ultimately, I want to talk about that, but I don't mind talking about everything. I can, I'll just back up. I was there and announcing the other classes when the Heartland Modified Series was at Green Valley last year. And oh my goodness, was that a show? Gunnar Martin picked up the win, local guy here, and we've got several local guys. I mean, I've had Shadron Turner in the studio doing an interview with me. Ran second in points with the Heartland Modified Series. So you guys, the Heartland Modified Series has become, I'm not going to say the new USMTS, but definitely a series that you want to go see, at least in the Kansas City area, for sure.
yeah, and that's really what our intention was. And I would say, yeah, we're not the USMTS. We actually work in tandem with the USMTS being sanctioned under the USRA banner. Todd Staley owns both entities.
Right.
We strategically schedule to where if the USMTS is in the area within a reasonable distance, we don't schedule a Heartland race for the reason that we want our guys to go race with the USMTS, get that experience. If anything, I would say like we're a high level, like a triple A club to what a Major League Baseball club would be as far as comparing what the Heartland Series is to the USMTS, and that trickles both directions. We've seen, Shadron Turner, Harley Dice, who runs our Northern Lights series,
Hmm.
Chevy Coleman the other night had his first career top 10 with the USMTS. You see these guys that have cut their teeth with us the last couple of years on the Heartland Tour. They go run the USMTS show and they show up and guys notice that they're there. And that's what this Heartland Tour is for, is to provide that stepping stone instead of just having to make that
Hmm.
huge, even Evil Knievel type of leap up to the USMTS series, and vice versa. A guy like Chevy Coleman, just a couple weeks, we talked about this last Sunday. He picked up his first top 10 with the USMTS. A couple of weeks ago, he won, if not his first race at 81 Speedway, his first in a very long time in local competition at 81 Speedway a couple of weeks ago. So, high tides rise all ships, right? And that's really what we're trying to do with this Heartland Modified Tour. Same thing with the Northern Lights and the American Racer Modified Series in the southern part of USRA's region. That's what these modified series are meant for. And along the same lines, that's now what the Heartland Late Model Tour is meant for. When we started the Late Model Tour, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. Our rule book is the same as the Unified Super Dirt Late Model rule book. So, if for whatever reason, if Jonathan Davenport wanted to come race with us Friday at Green Valley Speedway, he would be 100% legal to do so, other than making sure that he's on our harder tire package that we have. Other than that, you know, a World of Outlaw car, a Lucas Oil late model car, we're trying to give guys in this area an opportunity to travel, cut their teeth out on the road without having to be, days away from home. And then hopefully they can make that step and then go out onto the national tour at that point.
Yeah. Well, and I know that that's going to happen with some guys. I mean, you've got some great ones in that. I will say when I seen the announcement for the Heartland Modified, or excuse me, the Hartman Late Model Series, and then a couple weeks later, I seen that you were going power sanctioned. I was a little bit surprised. To be honest with you, even though I think Power does a great job, Kenny Brown does a great job. Dealt with them a lot with their non-wing series and their 410 series. Alan Staley is a good personal friend of mine, especially as my mentor, if you will, in the announcing realm. So it was just, I understand the strategics behind it, but I was a little shocked. What was the mindset in that, being that there is already the Rev Late Model Series with Power and then the Heartland series, and they're not by no means are they the same, because they're not. The Rev series, from what I could see, is even just a step under the the Heartland Modified. Excuse me, I don't know why I keep saying modified. Heartland Late Model Series. But what was the thinking behind that?
So I'll start with the Rev series. I don't know that I would say maybe they're a step below us. We're not trying to shove anyone out of the market or anything of that nature. We're just kind of
Sure.
we've Trenton and Austin, my business partners, have always wanted to be in the late model space. We tried with a couple of different entities to partner with some people. Nothing came to fruition. So, we said, hey, if that's the case, we're going to kind of do our own endeavor and see if we can make this work like we think we can. So, the Revival series, they've got a great thing going. We obviously we know they're racing on this weekend, and we hope that they're successful just like we're successful, and that's all we can hope for. Again, high tides rise all ships, and if we're both successful, ultimately, that's better overall for the sport, right? As
Well,
far as the
go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry.
No, you're fine.
No, for sure. Yeah, no, for sure. And I think you're going to see great shows at both places because the points fund money is so important. I looked at you had 43 cars total the weekend at Legit. Out of that, you had 20 cars that were there both nights. And so you've got 20 guys that are committed to running for that points series. So I think you're going to see 20, 25 cars at Valley, 20, 25 cars, even maybe 30 cars at Moberly. So I think it's going to be a great night of racing. My only regret is I'll be at 36, US 36 announcing. And so I'm going to miss the late models. So I'm a little bummed about that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, after the first weekend, you're always as the season wears on, you're gonna whittle down that number of full-time guys. I would expect maybe, that's the case this weekend for whatever reason, but yeah, I think we're gonna have a good contingent of race cars either way, and, hopefully our goal at the end of the year, if we can have 10 to 12 guys that truly run the entire year with us by season's end, I think that's doing really good, especially for a first year series. As far as the whole power connection, that really honestly goes back to Chili Bowl of 2025 is how this all got started. They were looking for Power was looking for an additional class to run at their show that they had scheduled at Texas Motor Speedway in November. An
Mhm.
acquaintance of ours, uh, an acquaintance of both parties, got with Talon Turner and told Talon Turner about our American Racer Modified series. And Talon was intrigued. He got with Trenton. Next thing you know, we've got 2 nights scheduled at Texas Motor Speedway. The more they learned about us and our Heartland Modified tour, we ended up racing 2 nights with them at Lake Ozark Speedway over the
Mhm.
Labor Day weekend last year. Both of those shows went extremely well. They found out about our intentions in starting a late model tour, and Power Eye wants to diversify. They want to be involved in the modified and the late model world, but maybe kind of diving it into it on their own. They haven't had maybe the success that they'd hoped for that way. But I think they saw kind of what we bring to the table, and working through us, I think they recognize that they found a way they can be involved in the modified and late model world, but kind of let us handle it, let us do things as we think they need to be done, run our own program, run our own series. They really don't tell us what we can or can't do. They don't mandate rule subsets or anything to us, and it gives them an avenue to be involved in modified late model racing on this side of the fence, but they can really get back to focusing on their open wheel stuff. And really, with the growth of the Honest Abe Power I 410 Sprint Car Series just in the last couple of years, their midget program's growing again. Their mini sprint program's growing again. I think you've seen that already beneficial to their open wheel program. But again, it gives them an opportunity through us to still be involved in the modified and late model world and diversify. And really, what they've done is they've helped us on the backside before we kind of formally announced an agreement with them. I'll be honest, we kind of were scratching our heads and on trying to get some tracks scheduled, and we didn't know that if we were going to be able to put out the schedule that we really wanted to. And they came to the table, they helped us kind of fulfill, round out our schedule, fill it out to where it was a decent schedule for year one. We'd like to push it out maybe closer to the 20 to 22 race mark in year two. But they helped us put that together and finish up some other things, button up some things on the back end where doing it by ourselves, maybe we wouldn't have been able to get done. So they've been really beneficial. And the other thing is, again, we have more joint programs with them. We'll be on their Labor Day show with our Heartland Modifieds again. Both our late model and our American Racer Modifieds will be at their Texas show. We have a 2-night late model show with the Heartland Late Models in June over at Lake Ozark. And then one of the things that, again, because of our connection with USMTS, it kind of worked both directions. We were a small part in helping put together the USMTS show at Macon this year as well, which Power Eye operates Macon
Nice.
Speedway. So,
Mhm.
again, it's just been kind of beneficial in multiple ways that we didn't realize. And they came to the table and said, "Hey, this is what we see. This is what we'd like to do." And we thought it could be good for both parties. Now, Revival for whatever on whatever end, they had an opportunity to still be a part of the Power Eye. We did not mandate anything one way or the other. They decided that they thought it was better off for them to to do their own thing once it was announced that we were sanctioned with Power Up. Hey, I have no qualms with that. If they feel like that's what's best for them, then that's what they got to do. Certainly understand that. But yeah, we're proud and happy to be under the Power Eye banner with our late model series.
Well, I think it's an awesome, and I agree with you. I can definitely see the benefits of that. That actually makes a little more sense because I had a couple conversations about maybe being the rev announcer, and then that kind of went quiet on me. So now it makes a little more sense. Your show with the late model series, I can only expect it to grow like the Heartland Modified series did. I mean, it was very quick to year two, year three, year four that it got. I mean, it's like I said, in Kansas City, it's definitely a show you want to go see. Your current points leader, I mean, a future Hall of Famer. Finally, Dad's going to be in the Hall of Fame this year with NASCAR. Terry Phillips picked up opening night win, which was pretty cool. And you just gotta love that with that name. And I love that you're because of those relationships, you've got guys like Tyler Wolf and Terry Phillips that are also guys that'll jump in a modified and go run a Heartland modified series or even a USMTS series. So and we're seeing a lot more of that happening. Ricky Thornton jumping out of a late or a modified and into a late model and going on the national tour. So we definitely see that evolution of those top tier modified guys moving into a late model. And I think I mean, Stormy Scott. I mean, we've seen a bunch of those guys do that. So I suspect you're going to start seeing those guys. And I even asked Shadron Turner, and Shadron says, well, if a car owner buys it, I'll go drive it. So I suspect you're going to see some of those guys stepping out and letting the younger guys come up. Henry Chambers is a perfect. I think you'll see that kid because he's getting a lot. I mean, he's running up front, and you'll see him start moving and making those changes. So I'm excited to see what it offers and how that evolution happens for sure. The format of the show, how do you guys are we qualifying? Are we hot lap qualifying?
World of
Heat
Outlaw late
races,
model
point
format.
systems?
World of Outlaw late model
Perfect.
format.
Perfect.
Again, we didn't try to reinvent the wheel. When guys come and race with us, especially if they're, you know, on a regional level trying to gain experience before they step out on a national tour, we want them to feel like they're racing a national tour show so that when they go to that national tour show for the first time, maybe they're not so overwhelmed with the procedures and the flow of the night and how things go. Like for us, we understand we're a regional tour and part of our responsibility is possibly prepping guys for national tour racing
Absolutely.
at some point, and that's a responsibility that we take very, very seriously, very, very highly. So again, we try to, even though we're not, most of our guys aren't professional racers, at least not yet, or they don't race for a living or do it full time. We want to treat these guys as if they're professionals and operate our shows as if they're a professional show. So that again, when those guys have the opportunity to go race with the USMTS or the World of Outlaws or Lucas Oil, they can kind of slide right in and maybe that transition isn't so overwhelming. You know, you've already got a competition level jump that you've got to deal with. When the program feels familiar and feels very similar to what you're already used to, that kind of maybe helps ease that transition a little bit. And the other thing is you know I absolutely love Todd Saley to death, and again I want him to do what he prefers with the USMTS. He's made no bones about it. He does not like straight up qualifying and heat racing. That's why he kind of uses some kind of a passing points type of system, which is perfectly fine. But guys have told us that it's a nice change of pace to be able to go to a show where every single time you hit the racetrack you earn everything you get no matter what. And that's the way that this format is. I mean, it starts in qualifying and yeah, maybe we don't always have the most exciting heat races, but at the end of the night, when I know that I've got the fastest 6 to 8 drivers starting at the front of that A feature field to go duke it out, especially if a race goes long green flag runs and they can get into traffic and dice it up, like that's what race fans remember going home at the end of the night. So I don't would I love it if just every heat race was a barn burner and every A feature was a barn burner? Sure. That would be ideal, but if I had my preferences, give me 4 boring heat races and 1 bad son of a gun of an A main every night, and I'll be happy.
Yeah, for sure. And I prefer late model racing, but frankly, you want to put tuners on the racetrack as long as it's a good race. I'm happy because I'm a true race fan. I want to see side by side. I want to see hard elbows up racing. That's the race fan in me. The You talked about it earlier. You said 22 nights. You guys did 17 this year, but you're thinking maybe going to 22. Right now, with it being a regional, it looks like it's Kansas and Missouri. Are you thinking that maybe you'll move into Oklahoma a little bit or go to Iowa a little bit? Or what's your thoughts for 27 when it comes to, again, being a region, but how much more are you going to move? Or is it just more frequently at different racetracks?
I think we're open to discussion for anything. I know there's a couple of racetracks that we would have liked to have been at this year that we weren't able to get to with the late model. One of them being my hometown racetrack at 81 Speedway. I live in the Wichita, Kansas area. I love 81 Speedway. Just by the time we kind of had our details figured out and put together, they had the majority of their schedule done, and we just couldn't find anything that fit, which is certainly understandable. I get that. It's with them. Humboldt's a place, you look at a lot of tracks that
Mhm.
are on our Heartland modified tour schedule that aren't on our late model schedule. I'd say those would be candidates. Wouldn't mind getting down maybe into northern Arkansas. There's especially northeast Arkansas, northwest Arkansas. There's some great racetracks in that area. And then yeah, as long as the other one of it, the other outlier is and I know it's a little bit of a trip, but I think it's that one unique trip a year where guys are willing to kind of bite the bullet and do it. As long as Power wants us at TMS, that'll be one where we'll probably always say yes no matter what too. So it's neat to get an
Yeah,
opportunity to go
yeah.
there and in the season as well. So I would say I don't know that I want to be too restrictive with the late model deal. I think with the late models you could probably open your region up and travel a little bit further than you can maybe say with the modifieds. But we certainly want to be smart about what we do and not get ourselves spread out too widely either. Because again, we're not a national tour. We're not paying national tour purses. These guys aren't making a living doing this as of yet. So we need to be careful, and we try to be very strategic about how we schedule and where we schedule. But at the same time, we're not going to shut the door on any possibility until we at least have the opportunity to explore it, discuss it, and figure out if it works for us or not.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. And I actually really like the fact that you're on a harder tire, which will, I think it makes racers better personally than being on the soft tire. It's also a little bit more economically friendly, if you will. You're not going to burn up that soft tire quite as much as you will that, excuse me, that hard tire as much as you will that soft tire. So I think that's helping with the series. But you could get, like you said earlier, you could get a Davenport show up and put a hard tire on and go race with you guys. So they truly are supers. They're not limited that way, other than the tire compound that they run.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, we didn't do anything different with the rule book. Unified Super Dirt Late Model rule book. If it's legal, it's legal for World of Outlaws. If it's legal for Lucas Oil, it's legal for the Heartland Late Model Tour. Other than the tire program, right now we've got options where you can run either an American Racer or a Hoosier. The Hoosier NLMT threes are allowed on either left sides in the right front. The four is on the right rear. Same thing with the American Racer, the Pro 4 on the right rear, and you can run the three on any other corner. We've already got kind of maybe an idea and some intel that tire compounds are going to change again later this summer, and we're already
Sure.
prepared for that if it possibly happens. But as of right now, we're on the fours on the right rear and threes on the threes or fours, really theoretically, on the other three corners. So
Gotcha. Since you're kind of an insider, I'll ask the question. American Racers really starting to, it was the hard hockey puck, what was it, G60, that modified tire that we ran for years and years and years and years and years. And that's pretty much all they were kind of known for. And they really started to venture out with some sprint car stuff and with some late model stuff. Do you see them getting into that even a little bit heavier?
I think they certainly would like to. Now, we're fairly new into playing the tire games and dealing with both Hoosier and American Racer. And I will say, so far, both companies, surprisingly to us, because you hear all these horror stories all over the place about, tire wars and things of that nature. And fortunately for us, so far, both companies have been fantastic to work with. And I think have seen our vision for what we want with the Heartland Late Model Tour. So I do need to preface that and say, we've been able to get in contact with the right people and some fantastic people who have been easy to work
That's
with
all.
so far in our case. So, as far as what path American Racer wants to take and how much further down the road they're going to get with this, I think that's something that we're still learning a lot about that. I don't know that I have all those answers. And even if I did, there's probably some things that they would prefer that, until they're ready
You
to
did
say
say.
something yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to ruin a good relationship either. So
No,
again, what
of course not.
what I can tell you is yeah, they certainly want to be more involved in dirt racing overall. And so far, both companies have been fantastic to work with.
Yeah. Well, and I'm not surprised by that. I really am not. I just know that it's funny how you go from the Mississippi West, and it seems like, especially in the modified world, it's either the Hoosier, or at least with the IMCA world, and then anything else is generally a G60 modified. I'm from St. Louis originally, so I raced back years ago on the D40 and that big UNP tire, and then
So
I came to Kansas City. And go ahead.
So it's funny you mentioned that. I apologize to interrupt you. When I got started racing for a little while myself around 2014, 2015, and got into the modifieds, again, living in Wichita, Steve Ray Hall in CRA at the time, still had 81 Speedway. We were kind of on an island, but we were on that UMP tire. I remember racing on the A40s and
Hmm.
then making the switch over to the M30s when
Hmm.
the M30s were introduced. And yeah, you want to talk about two wildly different tires. Nothing will throw a racer off, a
Woo!
modified racer off, more than switching from an M30 to a D60 American Racer.
Oh my goodness, you ain't a kid. I moved to Kansas City in '06, And I put a set of them hockey pucks on and I went, oh my God. I can't even, I'm not even remotely close to being any good. And it took me several years to figure out how to do that. We'll get off the modifieds. With your late model series, upcoming events, Green Valley, Missouri, Friday night, this coming Friday night. Then your guys are at Moberly, and then I see you're down at Lake of the Ozarks for a 2-night swing, and then back at Lakeside at the end of July on 31st, which I believe I'm off that night, so I'll be able to come check that show out. I believe 30 or US 36 is not racing that night, so I'm excited about that because I'll get to see the show. What do you got to tell the fans? Because I have a lot of fans. I have racers, and then I have a lot of fans. What do you got to tell your fans, the fans that are going to come to these shows, what they can expect? Good, elbows up racing. What's going to set this show apart?
Yeah, I think you touched on it. Good elbows up racing for one, especially Friday night at Grain Valley. If you've never had an opportunity to get out to Grain Valley, that's a unique little joint, man. I love that place. Dennis Strout there's been fantastic for us to work with, and like you said, we had our modified tour there 2 years ago. It was kind of a little hammer down that night, but man, the racing was great. Last lap pass for the win. Local guy
Mm-hmm.
Gunnar Martin got it done that night. I mean, I wouldn't expect anything less from these late model guys. These late model guys know how to get after it. And one of the things that I think I picked up on real quickly, and especially, being around Trenton and Austin and talking through these things, one thing that Trenton pointed out to me and I picked up real quickly, like the late model world and the modified world right now are in such a different place. And it all has to do with the droop rule that the
Mm-hmm.
late models are on. Modifieds right now, they're so hiked up and so tractioned up, like even on the hockey puck tires, like traction is key
Mm-hmm.
with the modifieds. And
Mm-hmm.
not to say that traction isn't key with the late models, but those guys are kind of worried about different things. They're not worried about necessarily driving the rear end as hard into the dirt as they possibly can. I mean, they've got 14-inch wide tires to help them out with that. They're worried about other things on that race car, and the droop rule has forced a lot of that. It's changed late
Mm-hmm.
model racing just in the last 5 years. So it's a wildly different world than what the modifieds are right now, even though it seems like late model technology trickles down into the modifieds. They're just two wildly different race cars. And you get 24 late models on Grain Valley Friday night. That's
It'll
that's
be a
something that's
show.
going to be intriguing. And then Moberly, Missouri, a big half mile. Everybody loves half miles, right? Just pure speed, right? It'll be a speed fest. It's going to be some adrenaline, and then some of the guys that we're going to have there. You mentioned it, Terry Phillips, Tyler Wolf. We know we're going to have there. Jake Tim's coming down out of Winona, Minnesota. Unfortunately, would love to see him still on the late model, the World of Outlaw tour, but hasn't been able to do that. He's going to come race late models with us this weekend, which I'm stoked to have him. And we're going to have a good contingent of others. So we got some really strong names in the field that are going to be there. You're not going to be disappointed in the show that we have. We might not have 40 or 50 cars, but the cars that we have are going to be quality cars, and you're going to see one hell of a race.
Yeah, and I believe that, and I'll tell you, I think that it's going to be an unbelievable show at Valley on Friday night. I That racetrack just leans that way. It'll have two grooves. It'll have a bottom and a top, and it'll be fast. It's a cool little place to race. Who do you got to? I mean, no. Well, let's talk streaming. No, you guys are going to be on Dirt Vision this weekend. Dirt Vision will be at
Racing
the
dirt.
house at Racing Dirt. I'm sorry, I apologize. Racing Dirt. Well, I wish y'all get together because I got like five of you between Flow and Racing Dirt and Dirt Vision, and I mean it's just endless, start to finish. I mean, I'd like to do one prescription a year. All right, can we figure that out? No, I'm kidding. But Racing Dirt will be there. Also be at Moberly. This how big a difference has it made the racing and or regional tours with having a streaming service with you?
I think it's important because these
I do
regional
too.
guys that race with us, that's something the value that they can take back to potential sponsors and sell. Not only are they able to get out in front of the race fans that are at the racetrack each night, but there's a contingent of fans that are from a wide area that don't get to that aren't don't get to go to the racetrack, but are still seeing those guys race every night. So as much as I maybe am in the camp that I don't necessarily know streaming belongs at a weekly program, I adamantly believe for a series to be strong, for any regional or national series to be strong, streaming is very important. And I'll tell you the other important part of this, and I think it's part of our secret sauce to success so far. Knock on wood, is Trenton and Austin. The value and the knowledge that those guys bring to the table, just
Hmm.
purely being around the sport for so many years and having the contacts that they do. Listen, I'm passionate about this sport. I love this sport, and I feel like I bring a lot of value to the table to our organization in being able to handle the day to day and some of the logistics that I do. But if I'd have tried to start this deal on my own, there absolutely would have been zero chance for success without those two guys. You know, Trenton and Stick have they've really honestly guided me and made me better as a series director, as somebody involved in motorsports, and I continue to learn from them every day. So their knowledge is absolutely invaluable, and it goes back to something as simple as our first event, our first weekend at Legit was absolutely phenomenal, right? 40 plus cars night one, 34, 35 cars night two, fantastic racing both nights. But at the end of night two, I absolutely kicked the bucket on a scoring call. We go one lap too long on incident. I know it's made, national dirt late model news on dirt and everything else. Had I not had Trenton to help me navigate that and say, hey, this is how we're going to handle this, and this is how we're going to react. These are the things that we're going to say. I don't know that we come away from that, even though I had the best of intentions and never was there any thought of anything malicious at all. If it weren't for Trent, I don't know that we come out of that the way that we do. Especially that being the very first weekend of a new series, right? Like those are the types of things that could kill upstarts, and it's not going to kill us. Do I take a little bit of maybe a little bit of ribbing now from people that I know about it and things like that? Yeah, absolutely I do. But at the end of the day, I felt terrible, but I felt like we did a good job in putting it out there ourselves to where we weren't called out on it. Nobody had to bring it up before we addressed it. We addressed it. We tried to make it as right as we could by Terry. There is a rule in our rule book, and people kept pointing it out that it was in our rule book. I'll actually say I know for a fact that it's in Lucas Oil Dirt Late Models rule book too, because our rule book is pretty well a carbon copy of theirs. Because
Right.
back when I started our modified tours, I wanted to use a proven rule book as our building block. But the rule that states if the feature incidentally goes one lap short or one lap long, the winner is the race is official at the display of the checkered flag once the leader crosses the loop. That gives us the ground to stand on as far as in the official record books and for points reasons to leave Kirkendall as the winner. But listen, on a moral
Hmm.
level, on an ethical level, we know Terry Phillips led at lap 30. We know that we messed up, and we went back to Terry and said, "Hey, we're acknowledging this before anybody else brings it to your attention. We apologize that this happened, and we're going to make this right." And again, if I don't know if Trenton wasn't there and Trenton and Austin weren't there to help guide me through that and say, hey, this is how we're going to handle this. This is what we're going to do. Um, I don't know how that would have worked out, but I'm thankful that those two guys were there, and that speaks to the success that we've had over the last couple of years. Just those situations, the guidance that those two have been able to provide me and our organization overall is just absolutely invaluable, and that's come through their years of experience out on the road. You know, streaming that behind the scenes, listening, absorbing, learning. They have a vast amount of knowledge that just a lot of people don't realize.
No, I totally understand that. The 2 years ago, when you guys had the Heartland Modified Series at Valley, there was an incident where there was an accident and a crew member come on the racetrack. You guys had just made that a rule change, if you will, sent it out as an email. Everybody knew that no members on the racetrack. And I got to witness how the staff handled it up in the tower at the end of the night. And I have to say, I was extremely impressed.
Thank you.
So I totally understand. We're human and we all make mistakes.
Right.
Half of the problem is just owning up to it, saying, hey, you know what? We made it. This is how we're going to fix it and move on. And I think you guys have done a good job of that. And so I don't see it. I mean, that was a road bump in a what I think is going to be an unbelievable future for the Heartland late model series. Well, man, we've been talking for about 40 minutes here now. Where can we find you? Where can we follow you guys? Where can we find the schedule, those types of things, so that we can make sure? And then who do you guys got to thank that makes this tour possible?
So as far as being able to find us out there, all four of our series have websites, and as long as as many letters as you might have to type, all four of our websites are simply our full series name.com. So heartlandlatemodeltour.com, heartlandmodifiedtour.com, American Racer Modified Series.com, etc. So all four of our series, the website, like I said, is fullseriesname.com. You can find all schedules on each website, point standings. We're also on My Race Pass. Just search by the series name on My Race Pass. You can find us there. Man, and as far as official sponsors, there is a ton of them. So I'm going to take a deep breath and I'm going to try to get through them without taking another half hour here. But we've got a bunch of people that help us out. It starts with American Racer, Bike Racing, Bulletproof Racewear, Central Spray Foam and Cement Lifting, Day Motorsports, Deathridge Opticians, Dirt Track Specialists, Duval Electric, Dylan Scott, Fast Shaft, Freight Logistics, Town Saloon, Hoosier, Integra, JRT Trucking, Kevco, Kaiser, KS Engineering, Maxima, Mel Humboldt Racing, Midwest Automation, Midwest Sheet Metal, Milburn Acreages, Panel Chipping, PEM, Power I, Premier, Rickens, Race and Dirt, Real Racing Wheels, Rick Heating and Air, Schoenfeld, Scotty Dog's Hideout, Service Plumbing of Wichita, Smith Equipment Company, Swift Springs, Transmissions Unlimited, VP Racing Fuels, Wag Dog Spices, Weirs, Willwood, Yeoman Race Engines, and USRA.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. You guys have that much support. Well, man, Eric, thank you so much for taking. I know how busy you are, especially trying to run all these series. So thank you for taking 45 minutes here to talk with me about it. I know my race fans will appreciate it. And I'll probably reach back out middle of July or something. Maybe we'll talk one before you guys come to the big half mile at Lakeside.
Yeah, be my pleasure.
Casey Race Talk may be awesome, man. Hey, well, Casey Race Talk fans, man, thank you so much again. Like, subscribe, and follow. If you want to see more content like this, comment, reach out, man. Because I've got an upcoming guest. John O'Neill Jr. is going to be coming on the show. Super excited about that show. Have Adam Dunwitty, the USRA B-Mod champion at I-35 in 2025, going to be on the show on Thursday, and so we'll be back and see you guys here real soon. Until then, we'll see you at the racetrack.
Go harder, faster, stronger with Rod End Supply. Whether you are running industrial, farming equipment, or a race car, Rod End Supply has the assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products that will help you lead the field in performance. Our superior design means our rod ends last longer and perform better, giving you the edge on the track and saving you money. Contact Rod End Supply or order online today at rodendsupply.com. We don't just sell them, we race them. Supply.com, serving the racing community for over 30 years.